Respected Excellencies, distinguished leaders from home and abroad, beloved blessed families, a year after COVID-19 infections began in earnest, the world is still suffering from the serious effects and after effects of the pandemic in all areas of society, including politics and the economy. Citizens around the world, individuals, families, and even nations are living in isolation, in fear of the virus as they continue their daily lives. However, despite the need to overcome such an unprecedented crisis together, the trend to focus on the survival of one's own country and people based on self-centered nationalism is leading us toward a world characterized by division and conflict, rather than harmony and mutual prosperity. It is for this reason that the late Reverend Dr. Sun Myung-moon and Dr. Hak Ja-han-moon, true parents, have advocated that the unfortunate history of humanity, which has been filled with conflict and division, can be fundamentally solved through restoring the parent-child relationship with God, the original parent of humanity. When we serve God as our heavenly parent, then a heavenly unified world, a world of permanent peace and unity wherein all live well together in interdependence, mutual prosperity, and universal values will be possible. When a heavenly unified world is realized on earth, wherein all people in heaven and earth live as one family with God as their heavenly parent, then the conflicts and divisions in this world, based on extreme egoism and self-centeredness, will come to an end. Through the past 4 rallies of hope, Dr. Hak Ja-han-moon has shared these heavenly messages on the vision for peace to all people around the world. Today's 5th Rally of Hope for the Realization of a Heavenly Unified World brings together people as children of our Heavenly Parent, as brothers and sisters transcending nationality, religion, and race, centered on the Heavenly Parent's holy community. This rally aims to bring together each other's wisdom and strength to overcome COVID-19 and all of the difficulties that derived from the pandemic, going beyond conflict and division and achieving a heavenly unified world. Today, I believe that we will be able to garner wisdom towards this goal through the keynote addresses given today by renowned leaders, eminent heads of states, and leaders from different countries. Particularly, Dr. Hak Ja-han-moon will offer a special address. She is known as the Mother of Peace, and she will inspire us on the direction for humanity to take. Once more, let us give a round of applause to thank Dr. Hak Ja-han-moon for hosting today's rally. Beginning, let us now begin the 5th Rally of Hope for the realization of a heavenly unified world. It is now time for the peace offering. The peace offering will proceed with a water of peace ceremony and a recitation to heaven that contains our hopes for the realization of a heavenly unified world. Prophet Samuel Hadebe from Heavenly Africa and representatives of the 7 major religions will host the peace offering on behalf of all 7 continents and religions from around the world. When the 7 religious representatives host the water of peace ceremony, 120 clergy and religious leaders from around the world will also participate in the water of peace. We have Bishop November Mbele, Reverend Jimin Kosi, Mr. Eric Wiener, Grand Mufti Asudala John Mwale, Reverend Albert Mboneleli Petse, Bishop Sizane Jetron Kosi, and Imboni Dr. Usileswe Samuel Radebe. Now we will have the Interfaith Water of Peace ceremony. Please pour the water when the MC gives the signal. 1, 2, 3. Next, Prophet Samuel Hadebe, chair of IAPD Africa, will offer the declaration to heaven.
Our heavenly parent and the origin of all things in creation. On this day, February 28, 2021, hundreds of millions of people from 194 nations around the world have gathered at this rally of hope. As members of one human family dedicated to creating a unified world of harmony and peace. A world characterized by the ideals of interdependence, mutual prosperity, and the universal values. I, Imboni, Dr. Uzwilezwe Hadebe, chair of IAPD Africa, and the other participants at this Interfaith Water for Peace ceremony, hereby declare the following before heaven and earth. We affirm the unique and essential role that spiritual leaders are called to play in bringing about a world of lasting peace. A world in which people of all nationalities, ethnicities, races, cultures, and world views live together in mutual respect, harmony, and cooperation as one cosmic family under God. We applaud and commend the leadership of Mother Moon, the mother of peace and only begotten daughter, and her late husband, Father Moon, for their vision and work over many decades to create one cosmic family under God. Today's rally brings together a truly global network of people committed to genuinely shared efforts and will become a cornerstone to build lasting peace around the world. Aju.
네, 감사합니다.
Thank you very much. Next will be the peace anthem, the Chanilguk anthem. Everyone, please rise and join in wishing for a world of lasting peace. Everyone, please take your seats. Next will be the peace message and prayer. The peace message and prayer for the realization of a heavenly unified world will be given by Bishop Noel Jones, one of the best known and most revered bishops in the United States and around the world. Bishop Noel Jones is one of the most revered and respected theologians of the 21st century. He is the senior pastor of the City of Refuge, a mega church in Gardena, California. He's also a diocesan of the Pentecostal Assemblies of the world, and is also known in Africa, Europe, and Asia. He has supported the True Mother's vision and testified to her as the Mother of Peace and only begotten daughter. He has also participated in various Peace Starts With Me rallies, and on April 7, 2019, he hosted the True Mother for Peace Starts With Me rally, where he received the Family Federation flag from True Mother. Let us welcome Bishop Noel Jones with a warm round of applause.
To the Mother of Peace, Dr. Haq Jahan Moon, heads of state, faith leaders, parliamentarians, and all other leaders, I would like to say, first of all, congratulations to Mother Moon on this 5th Rally of Hope. Millions are watching via satellite, actually to 150 nations. Also, I would like to remember her birthday and give her a birthday greeting, certainly to you, Mother, and to your late husband, the Reverend Moon. Both your birthdays fall on the same day, and so today, Father Moon would be 101, and I will not tell your age. We thank God because the Mother is touching the world with love and peace and is having great impact on all of us leaders, heads of state, all around the world, on every continent. And certainly the Holy Spirit is bringing her enemies together. She is living out Jesus' commission, and that is to love our enemies. This also is the anniversary, the 30th anniversary year of her and Father Moon's historic visit to North Korea. 30 years ago this year, she and Father Moon went to North Korea in spite of the dangers, and they went to encourage the Northern Korean leader to bring peace, yes. Man has always, since the first family, resorted to violence to handle whatever grievances he had and to seek advantages over his fellow man. This speaks of the function of those who walk with God. One of the Beatitudes that is germane and appropriate, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Peacemaking is a mode of response to hostility or other destabilizing activities. It becomes very important then for us to have those who are ordained by God to bring peace into the world. That's why the Beatitude announces the one who cultivates the love for peace is one who is close to God. To seek peace and to pursue it now gives me the right to be called a son of God. And so, as I come to a conclusion, I want to let you know that whenever we deal with God, we understand that God is one, the number of unity, where there is no divisive element of any kind, because at the end of the day, hear, O Israel, the Lord thy God is one God. So as we lead others, we must let the world know there is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither bond nor free, there is neither male nor female, for ye are all one in Christ Jesus. And that's Paul to the Galatian church. He's infected with his unity. There can be no internal conflict in God nor the sons of God. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways, but peace begins with me. Internal peace, and I exude it to everyone around me. Therefore, it is important to understand that whenever there is any pain or disquieting in my soul, I have to go to God, remove it, cleanse myself, so that I can come out and be that Son of God who operates in peacemaking. Finally, I would like to say, true mother, please be encouraged as the mother of peace. You, in your unique calling of God, has in every way and in every step moved the hearts of humanity to become one in God. You have touched us deeply. In every manner, you have touched us. Every part of humanity, all over the world. And everyone is beginning to see the hope of God's kingdom unfolding. And it's all because of what God has used you to do. Thank you, true mother. Be strong, be encouraged. God is using you today.
Thank you for your inspired peace message and prayer. Noel Jones 주교님,
Bishop Noel
다시 한번
Jones,
감사드립니다.
thank you very much for inspiring us
이제
with
기조
your
연설을
peace
듣는
message
시간을
and
갖도록
prayer.
하겠습니다. 기조
Now
연설은
it is time for the keynote
천주평화연합의
addresses.
평화를
The
위한
keynote
여섯
addresses will be offered by 8
세계평화
heads of
정상연합과
state and top leaders
세계평화
representing
전체 회원들을
members
대표해
of ISCP,
오늘은 8분의
IAPP,
정상
and the other
지도자들께
pillars
드리도록
of
하겠습니다.
UPF.
한학자 총재님의
First,
특별
5
연설
outstanding
전에
leaders,
네 분의
4
지도자들을
outstanding
모시고
leaders will
그리고
speak,
특별 연설
and
이후에
thereafter
네
we will
분의
listen to
지도자분들을
Dr.
모시도록
Hakja
하겠습니다.
Hanmun's special
기조
message,
연설을
and
오늘
thereafter there will
제5회
be another
희망전진대회를
4
축하해
keynote
주기 위해
presentations.
대한민국
But before we
전
begin the
정세균
keynote addresses,
국무총리께서
I would like to
축전을
read to you the
보내왔습니다.
special
잠시
congratulatory
먼저
message by the
축전을
Excellency
대독하도록
Chung
하겠습니다.
Se-gyun, Prime Minister of the Republic of Korea.
개최를 진심으로
First of all, I would like to
축하합니다.
congratulate you
코로나19
on the
바이러스는 인류의
Rally of
아픔이었습니다.
Hope. COVID-19 was a
전
great
세계가
pain for all of
절망에
humanity,
빠졌습니다.
which
그러나
brought
우리는 위기
despair
속에서 깨달음을
to humanity.
얻었습니다.
But we
이웃을
discovered
지키는 일이 나를
wisdom.
지키는 일,
Preserving
다른
values,
이의
preserving
삶이
our
나의
cherished
삶이며
values
모두가
is the
하나로
way to
연결되어
protect
있다는
our
사실을
society.
배웠습니다.
And
이제
society
우리가
is
하나된 마음으로
interconnected.
직면한 위기를
And now let us work
미래를
together to
준비해야
overcome
합니다.
these
더욱
challenges and
단단한
open
협력과
a new
연대로
future.
한반도의
Let us
새
work
역사를
together
시작해야
to
합니다.
create a new history
희망전진대회에
on the
함께하신
Korean
여러분께서
Peninsula. I would like to
공영,
thank
공의의
all of you
가치관을
participating in the
바탕으로
Rally of
평화와
Hope based
번영의
on the
미래를
values of
힘차게
interdependence, mutual
열어주십시오.
prosperity, and
감사합니다.
universal values.
대한민국
Let us
국무총리
open a beautiful
정세균,
future together.
귀한
Chung
축전을
Se-gyun,
보내주신
Prime
정세균
Minister of
국무총리께
Korea. Let us
감사의
give a
박수를
warm round of applause
부탁드리겠습니다.
to His Excellency Chung Se-gyun for his congratulatory message. It is now time for the keynote addresses. The first keynote address will be offered by His Excellency Mike Pence, the former Vice President of the United States. His Excellency Mike Pence served as Vice President of the United States from 2017 to 2021. From June 2027, he has chaired the National Space Council, and in February 2020 was the leader of the White House Coronavirus Task Force. Vice President Pence also served as member of Congress from 2001 to 2013. He was also elected governor of Indiana from 2013 to 2017. He described as a principled conservative and has proudly expressed his faith, saying he was a Christian, a conservative, and a Republican in that order. After his inauguration in April 16, 2017, South Korea was the first stop on Vice President Pence's Asia tour. His father fought in the Korean War, and Mr. Pence began his visit by offering his respects at the Seoul National Cemetery. Notably, Mr. Pence visited the DMZ and, filled with emotion, called it the frontier of freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome His Excellency Vice President Mike Pence.
Distinguished leaders, ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to address you at this global rally of hope, sponsored by the Universal Peace Federation and join you in the great cause of building a more peaceful and prosperous world. The Bible says, "Blessed are the peacemakers," and I believe this gathering of leaders from nations across the world, leaders who cherish the values of faith, family, democracy, and justice under the rule of law, will be a blessing to people in Korea, the Indo-Pacific, and the wider world. And I'm also grateful to the Washington Times, a model of fair and accurate reporting that American decision makers have relied on for nearly 40 years. I especially want to thank Dr. Moon for hosting this important event and for faithfully devoting her life to the pursuit of peace, and also extend my warmest wishes as she celebrates the birthday she shares with her late husband. Thank you, Dr. Moon, for living out your life's calling with compassion and grace. As we gather today, my heart is full of hope and confidence that better days lie ahead for America and for the world. For the past year, the coronavirus pandemic has inflicted heartbreak and hardship across the globe. Every nation on earth has been put to the test. Now, thanks to bold leadership, groundbreaking partnerships, and the courageous resolve of individual citizens, mankind's victory over the coronavirus is closer than ever before. Here in the United States, we marshaled a whole of America response, calling on researchers, scientists, and manufacturers to speed needed supplies to our healthcare workers. And we developed a vaccine in less than a year, a truly unprecedented medical miracle. More than 50 million vaccine doses have now been administered in the United States, and millions more have been administered around the globe. Every day, we are one day closer to putting the long night of the coronavirus behind us. Rays of sunlight have pierced the horizon, and a bright new day is dawning. Now, as nations undertake the urgent work of restoring lost jobs, reopening shuttered industries, we must remember that our task is not merely to rebuild the world of the past, but to forge a brighter future for all our citizens. During my 4 years as Vice President, at home and abroad, I've seen firsthand that truly great nations embrace freedom, the principles of religious liberty, freedom of speech, democracy, and free enterprise. We know that strong families, education, equal treatment under the law, and a recognition of the dignity and worth of every human life, born and unborn, is the foundation of true national greatness. On that foundation of shared values, we can build a world of strong, sovereign nations, bound by our commitment to the timeless ideals of liberty, security, and opportunity for all. With free people, strong nations, and bold leaders, there's no limit to what we can achieve. And in keeping with the theme of this rally of hope, I also believe that we can further the progress we made in the last administration, strengthening our historic alliance with the courageous people of South Korea. Let me emphasize, America is strongly committed to supporting the Republic of Korea, Japan, and our allies across the region. Our commitment to our common defense remains unbreakable. We will stand firm against our common adversaries, even as we work in good faith to turn those adversaries into friends. And in doing that, I believe we're laying a foundation to bring about the peaceful unification of Korea within our lifetime. That vision of freedom, peace, and prosperity is the same vision the people of the United States and the Republic of Korea have shared for nearly 70 years. A Korea united by the universal values of human dignity, liberty, and economic freedom. It's the vision that my father, Ed Pence, a young Army lieutenant in the Korean War, fought to defend. And it's the vision that generations of Americans and freedom-loving Koreans have defended and pursued for all the Korean people. Building on that legacy as Vice President was one of the highest honors of my life. In April of 2017, it was my privilege to travel to South Korea to meet with the leaders of the Republic of Korea, with American armed forces, and to peer across the border of the demilitarized zone at a time of great tension. We returned in February of 2018 to herald the Winter Olympics that celebrated a vision of peace on the Korean Peninsula. And in the wake of President Trump's historic summit in Singapore, it was my privilege to be on the tarmac in Hawaii when the remains of 55 fallen Americans were at last returned to American soil from North Korea. More summits would follow, and while peace remained elusive, we will continue to pursue a peaceful future. The final and fully verified denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. And I am proud to stand alongside all of you on this day to support the cause of freedom, security, and peace for all the Korean people. So today, at this global rally of hope, I urge all the leaders looking on, keep striving for peace, keep believing in freedom, and have faith. For without faith, it is impossible to please God. And know that your labors on behalf of peace for the Korean people across the Asia Pacific and the wider world are not in vain. Thank you for the honor of addressing you today. And may God bless you all.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President, for your wisdom and courage to inspire unity and cooperation between all nations. 여러분 멋진
Ladies and
연설을
gentlemen,
해주신 우리
let
마이크
us give
펜스
another
부통령께 다시
round of
한번
applause to
감사의
former Vice
박수를
President Mike
부탁드리겠습니다.
Pence for his keynote address. It is now time for our second keynote address. The second keynote address will be presented by Honorable David Beasley, the Executive Director of the world-renowned United Nations World Food Program. Before serving as the Executive Director of the UN World Food Program, Mr. Beasley represented South Carolina as a member of the U.S. House of Representatives and also served as its governor from 1995 to 1999. Mr. Beasley was appointed as the Executive Director of the UN World Food Program in April 2017. With his outstanding leadership skills and 40 years of experience in international communications and work, Mr. Beasley has worked to gather financial support to eradicate world hunger, going beyond the barriers of politics, religion, and race. Furthermore, he has worked passionately to not only provide emergency food assistance, but to establish long-term food programs to achieve stability and lasting peace in each region. As a result, Mr. Beasley's work to combat world hunger was recognized, and in December 2020, he received the Nobel Peace Prize on behalf of the World Food Program. I believe his work will make a great contribution to establishing a heavenly unified Korea. Let us welcome Mr. David Beasley with a warm round of applause.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, friends throughout the world, it's a real pleasure to join today's Rally of Hope. Let me start first by thanking Dr. Moon, who co-founded the Universal Peace Federation in an effort to focus attention on the importance of working for peace around the world, and we need it now more than ever. The dream of peace throughout the Korean Peninsula is shared by the millions of men, children, and women who live there, whichever side of the border they are on, and by the people across the globe. My father was a Korean War veteran, so I join you in praying that it will come to pass one day, and one day soon. We at the World Food Program know from our work that where peace exists, fewer children go to bed hungry. But tragically, where there is hunger, peace can often be hard to find. For those of you who are not familiar with our work, the World Food Program is the world's largest humanitarian agency working to end global hunger. Last year alone, we reached more than 114 million people in over 80 countries with food assistance. We exist to serve our brothers and sisters in need, to love our neighbor, wherever they may be. Last October, we were truly humbled and honored to be awarded the 2020 Nobel Peace Prize in recognition of our efforts to bring peace and stability to a troubled world. At WFP, we have a long history of partnership and cooperation with the peoples of the Korean Peninsula. For many years, we have worked with the governments of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea and the Republic of Korea to ensure that every child, no matter where she or he lives, has healthy, nutritious food to eat. WFP has been present in DPRK since 1995. We provide specialized nutritious foods for mothers and children under the age of 12, which are distributed to kindergartens, schools, orphanages, and hospitals across the country. The WFP program is a partnership with the government of DPRK. We still have a very long way to go before every child in every part of the world has enough to eat. But the Republic of Korea's story gives me hope for the future. WFP started working in the country way back in 1964 in the aftermath of the Korean War, and for 20 years we supported the Korean people with food assistance. And during this period, the country, the people, rebuilt itself from the ground up. In just one generation, the Republic of Korea went from aid recipient to aid donor. Today, it is WFP's 11th largest government supporter. This is an inspirational journey which proves that with commitment and hard work, eradicating hunger is in fact achievable. It is a tremendous example of everything we strive for at WFP. I hope this story of success inspires the wider international community to fund expansion of the humanitarian programs which are still urgently needed on the Korean Peninsula. Programs which provide nutritious foods to children and their mothers, vaccinations against preventable illnesses, and community defenses against floods and droughts. The impact of the COVID-19 pandemic over the past year has made our task even more urgent. But I am optimistic that this unprecedented crisis is also our chance to lay aside our differences, to show we are prepared to love our neighbor as ourselves, and work as one to create the better and more peaceful world we all want to see. Every single one of us can contribute, and we can help to build a brighter future for the children of Korea and beyond. If we work together in partnership, I truly believe we will one day achieve our dream of a world free from hunger and free from conflict. I also know for sure that when people come together, pray together, break bread together, miracles begin to happen. So let us pray together for peace and healing on the Korean Peninsula. God bless you all, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beasley, for your service to humanity and your investment in the peaceful unification of Korea.
Thank you, Mr. Beasley. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in offering another round of applause to Executive Director David Beasley for his inspiring keynote address.
Rally of Hope.
Our third keynote address will be given by Dr. Sarah Gilbert, one of the co-developers of the AstraZeneca vaccine. This is a light of hope to the world during this dark time caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Dr. Sarah Gilbert is a professor of vaccinology at the University of Oxford and the co-founder of Vaccitech, a biotechnology company that develops vaccines. Dr. Gilbert specializes in making and testing vaccines, especially those that combat malaria and influenza. She led the development of testing of the universal flu vaccine, which underwent clinical trials in 2011. In December 30, 2020, 1 year after the COVID-19 pandemic hit the world like a tsunami, the AstraZeneca vaccine for the COVID-19 virus, co-developed by Dr. Gilbert, was approved for use in the UK and was approved for emergency use by the World Health Organization. The AstraZeneca vaccine is a name familiar to all Koreans, as vaccination began here not long ago. Remarkably, Dr. Gilbert negotiated with AstraZeneca that the vaccine, which they believe to be a fundamental human right, be provided on a non-for-profit basis worldwide. Supporting the values of interdependence, mutual prosperity, and universal values pursued by UPF and Dr. Hak Jahan Moon, she decided to speak at today's rally. We look forward to her active support in the realization of a heavenly unified Korea. In May 2020, Dr. Gilbert was featured on the Times Science Power list and was also on the list of BBC's 100 Women of 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Dr. Sarah Gilbert with a warm round of applause.
Good morning. I'm Sarah Gilbert, Professor of Vaccinology in the Nuffield Department of Medicine at the University of Oxford. For 25 years, I've worked on the development of vaccines against infectious diseases, and particularly vaccines for which there is little money available to fund their development. To make it possible to develop safe and effective vaccines at low cost, my team works with technologies that we can adapt to make many different vaccines, but without having to start the research from scratch every time. I have been using these platform technologies, as we call them, for some years, working on the development of vaccines against viruses that can cause outbreaks. Viruses such as Lassa fever, which is found in West Africa, Nipah virus in Bangladesh, and MERS coronavirus in Saudi Arabia. We had also begun to plan for making a vaccine very quickly if a new virus emerged and started to cause disease in people. This is what the WHO referred to as Disease X, and we had been thinking about how to use our technology and knowledge to respond quickly if we ever needed to. At the very beginning of 2020, we had not completed our preparations, but the virus we now know as SARS-CoV-2 had started to cause infections in people. Even before we knew if the new virus could spread from person to person, we started the work to produce a vaccine. By the time we had made the first small batch of the vaccine, we knew we needed to move as quickly as possible. The work moved into our vaccine manufacturing facility, where we can make vaccine to use in clinical trials. We worked with other vaccine manufacturers in Italy and then in the UK and the Netherlands to expand our vaccine manufacturing. At the same time, we worked with other partners in the US to test the vaccine in animals. By late March, only a few months after the outbreak first began, the UK was in lockdown. The vaccine was needed more urgently than ever, but we had to adopt how we worked. Even as our team grew, we needed to keep our distance. We had to wear masks in the clinic and lab, and all our meetings moved online. Clinical trials started on April the 23rd, with our selfless volunteers willing not only to be vaccinated, but to be photographed and talk to the press about it. Our clinical trials started with a group of young adult volunteers, then extended into older people, and now also into children. As our trials expanded, so did our team, bringing in nurses, doctors, receptionists, administrators, and statisticians to work with the group of scientists who had started the project. Colleagues and students who normally worked on other research joined us in this essential project, putting their own work on hold. We grew out of our vaccine centre and added 2 temporary vaccination clinics, as well as working with 19 other sites in the UK, and then collaborated with experienced investigators in Brazil, South Africa, and Kenya. As a university, we cannot manufacture and supply billions of doses of vaccine. We formed a partnership with AstraZeneca to expand the manufacturing network that we had set up, to add to the clinical trials, prepare for the regulatory approvals that are needed for the vaccine to be used, and finish the work that we had started. It was important to us that we were making a vaccine for the world, and that it should be made widely available with no profit during the pandemic, or at any time for vaccine used in low and middle income countries. AstraZeneca shared our vision. As our team continued to expand, so did the work that needed to be done, and we supported each other through many long and challenging days at a time when the pandemic was having a devastating effect. Now, in February 2021, there are clinical trials of our vaccine underway in 10 countries. Vaccine manufacturing is taking place in over a dozen parallel supply chains, working with 25 contract manufacturing organisations across the world, with 3 billion doses planned for by the end of this year. The vaccine has been shown to be safe and effective. It is approved for use in almost 60 countries, and the very recent WHO approval means that it can be supplied via the COVAX facility, which is making it possible for many countries to access vaccine supplies. This is a vaccine for the world. Safe and highly effective, easy to store and transport, low cost, and available in large quantities. The values that resulted in this vaccine being made available align with those of the Universal Peace Federation. This vaccine was made for all of us, to protect each other and ourselves. We still have more to do, but the work of our international team has paid off, and the vaccine we made is already saving lives. I wish you a good day.
Thank you, Professor Gilbert, for bringing hope and relief to the billions of people around the world affected by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Dr. Gilbert, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please give another round of applause to Dr. Sarah Gilbert for her work together with AstraZeneca to provide COVID-19 vaccines to people around the world. This is really an implementation of the values of interdependence, mutual prosperity, and universal values. Let us give her another warm round of applause. I have a brief announcement. Right now, we are using a platform called PeaceLink, and people from around the world are joined on PeaceLink, and we also have broadcasters and TVs joining today's Rally of Hope. I would like to make a brief announcement about the Peace Fund. We are currently accepting donations for the Peace Fund to support a world of eternal peace and support those in the world who are suffering due to COVID-19 pandemic. You can donate by clicking Donate on the live PeaceLink website. I am sure that any donations will bear great fruits of love. And this will be a great assistance to all the people who are currently suffering from the COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you. Our fourth keynote speaker will be delivered by His Excellency Frederick Willem de Klerk, who was instrumental in repealing racial segregation in South Africa during his presidency. President de Klerk served as President of State for South Africa from 1989 to 1994, at a time when segregation was at its worst. After being inaugurated as President in 1989, he legalized the ANC, the African National Congress, and freed imprisoned anti-apartheid activists, including Nelson Mandela. Afterwards, de Klerk worked with Nelson Mandela to fully dismantle apartheid and establish a transition to universal suffrage. He was instrumental in moving to a non-racial constitutional democracy, and in 1993 he was jointly awarded the Nobel Peace Prize with Nelson Mandela. Later, Mr. de Klerk established the F.W. de Klerk Foundation and the Global Leadership Foundation and actively carried out human rights activities for the sake of a peaceful world. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome His Excellency F.W. de Klerk with a warm round of applause.
Speaking to you today from the Cape of Good Hope. It was called the Cape of Good Hope because sailors rounding the southern tip of Africa in the 16th century regarded the Cape as a beacon of hope in their journey to new adventures, to new opportunities, and to new worlds. I should like to congratulate our host, Dr. Moon, the co-founder of the Universal Peace Foundation, for her initiative in organizing the Rally of Hope virtual series. At this time of the global COVID pandemic, of unprecedented economic crisis, of changing power relationships, and impending climate change, the world now needs hope more than ever before. When confronted by crises, we have to make historic choices. We can be fatalistic and allow ourselves to be swept willy-nilly along by the current of events. We can resist and try to paddle against the tumultuous stream of history, or guided by hope, we can search for a course between the jagged rocks and rapids and steer our way toward the broad and tranquil river of peace, justice, and prosperity. 35 years ago, the situation that confronted us in South Africa appeared to be hopeless. We were increasingly isolated, without friends or allies in the world. Our armed forces were involved in escalating warfare on our borders against Soviet and Cuban-led forces. We had to deal with widespread unrest, protests, and lawlessness in many parts of the country. Some of those in leadership positions opted for resistance. They were deeply concerned about the future freedom of our minorities under a majority government. They were understandably worried about the dominant influence of the Communist Party on the African National Congress, the main resistance movement. And they were discouraged by the failure of post-independence governments elsewhere in Africa to sustain prosperous, uncorrupt democracies. They believed that we should refuse to move, that we should remain stubbornly in the malaria-infested waters of minority rule. Others were fatalistic. They thought that it would be impossible to resist the angry demands of the world and of our opponents, even when these demands had the direst implications for our minorities and for our economy. They felt that it would be impossible to resist the course of history. However, some of us were motivated by hope. We hoped that if we judged the political currents correctly, we would be able to steer a course to a better future. I believe that fortune favors those who hope. Toward the end of the 1980s, circumstances began to assist those of us who dared to hope. By 1987, the ANC, led by Nelson Mandela from his prison cell in Cape Town, began to accept that there would have to be negotiations. In 1988, our strategic concerns were addressed by the withdrawal of 50,000 Cuban troops from Southern Africa. In November 1989, the fall of the Berlin Wall allayed our fears regarding the influence of the Communist Party within the African National Congress alliance. Suddenly, there was reason for hope. I realized that the chances for successful negotiations for a new inclusive constitution for all South Africans would never again be so good. So on the 2nd of February 1990, guided by hope, faith, and our conviction of the rightness of our decision, I steered a course towards the rapids of change. The rest is history. After almost 4 years of tumultuous progress, after extricating ourselves from whirlpools of escalating communal violence, we finally made it to our first fully inclusive elections on 27 April 1994, to the inauguration of President Mandela, and to the adoption of a truly inclusive and democratic constitution. Now, almost 27 years later, we continue our voyage down the river of history. We have made good progress since 1994. But now once again the waters are becoming turbulent, and we can hear the roar of rapids ahead. However, we have learned from our past. We have learned that we cannot resist the flow of history. We have learned that we should not simply allow ourselves to be swept away by the current. But above all, we have learned the importance of never losing hope. Like those sailors who rounded the Cape of Good Hope 500 years ago, we know that we have the ability to avoid the perils that confront us and to chart a course towards a better future.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for laying the cornerstone of peace and reconciliation in Africa around the world.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, let us give another round of applause to former President de Klerk for his moving keynote address. Right now, it is 10:41 in Korea, but it is early morning around the world. And based on our statistics, we have about 455 broadcasters who are carrying and broadcasting today's Rally of Hope in about 193 nations around the world. Right now, at a time when the world really needs hope, we are providing hope for the world, and we can really see that the hearts of peace-loving citizens is now connected right now at this moment. Although it may be late at night or early morning around the world, let us give a warm round of applause to really thank, encourage, but also welcome all the people who are participating in this Rally of Hope throughout the world. I was so surprised because right now leaders in Latin America and leaders from Africa, they are sending photos of the live broadcast of the Rally of Hope taking place. This is really surprising. We really live at a time when we are all connected instantaneously, and based on this digital platform, we can all connect it together. This is an incredible achievement. This concludes the first 4 keynote addresses. Originally, today, the peace-loving leader, President Muhammad Buhari of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, was meant to offer a keynote address. However, there was an urgent state matter where 371 schoolgirls were kidnapped, and as a result, His Excellency could not attend today's Rally of Hope. However, he sent a special message, and Dr. Yoon would like to read the special message from His Excellency Buhari. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations on hosting the 5th Rally of Hope for the realization of a heavenly unified world. During these challenging times, the Rally of Hope is proving and providing hope to the world, and I wish to extend a warm word of thanks to the host, Dr. Hak Ja-han Moon, also known as Mother Moon. His Excellency President Buhari is currently attending the urgent state matters related to the situation in Zamfara, and therefore, regrettably, I'm unable to present my address today. His Excellency looks forward to attending and presenting his keynote address at our next Rally of Hope. The nation of Nigeria supports and appreciates the efforts of the co-founder, Dr. Hak Ja-han Moon, and the entire Universal Peace Federation for their tireless work for peace, and sends best wishes on the founder's birthday and the 8th anniversary of Foundation Day. Thank you, Muhammad Buhari, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Please join me in offering another warm round of applause to express our gratitude to President Buhari. And because there was a really urgent matter of state, His Excellency President Buhari had to attend to this matter. But Nigeria is the most populous nation in the world. In Africa, it has 200 million people, and His Excellency Buhari has been supported. He is a peace-loving leader who has been working for the sake of peace, not just in Africa, but around the world. And also, he has been working closely together with the chair of ISCP Africa, Goodluck Jonathan, to really implement the work of UPF and the vision of peace of our founders. And I am sure that in the next Rally of Hope, we will be able to welcome President Buhari. And let us give another round of applause to President Buhari in the anticipation that he will attend the next Rally of Hope. And it is now time for a congratulatory song. We invited someone special for the congratulatory song. It is a living legend. His story is inspiring, and I am moved every time I hear his voice. He is an international vocalist, a tenor, Pol Pot. And his story is a story of hope, of inspiration to all people around the world. Despite living in difficult circumstances, he never gave up on his dream and finally won the first prize on Britain's Got Talent. Ever since, he has successfully paved his way as a crossover tenor. He is still beloved by many and is looked upon as an icon of hope. Through his performance today, Pol Pot, who has been a source of inspiration to many, will once again present a miracle-like moment he achieved. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Pol Pot on the stage with an incredible round of applause.
It is a great honour to be able to participate in solidarity and cooperation to overcome global conflicts, including the current pandemic, through Rally of Hope for a healthy and unified world. I will sing the next song with the hope for the future, for a peaceful world, strong and united. Thank you for having me sing for this Rally of Hope and this meaningful